All right. Okay, okay. Oh.
Hi, Renee.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Trying to keep it together, man. Spring break and
I know. I seen your pictures. You guys are back.
yeah, we left Thursday afternoon, stayed overnight in Gainesville, and then did Universal on Friday. And then my son had a basketball tournament in Tampa on Saturday and Sunday. So right after he won the championship, we left and came back home. We left the kids there, but my mom and I came back. So I'm off of work. I go back tomorrow, but yeah, chilling at home.
Congrats on the win and the good time.
Yeah, thanks. It was an awesome trip. Wasn't long enough, but the kids had a blast for their 10th birthday. So
Aww.
excited that they had such a great time. Yeah, it was awesome.
I just sent mine to Florida today. Like,
Did you?
on Sunday.
Hey Jess, I see you in the chat. She's riding with other people in a car right now, so she's
okay.
gonna join us in the chat. So I'll keep tabs on that. Yeah, it was fun. They were totally surprised. Going to Universal was actually like a really last minute thing that we put together. So excited it all worked out. Just trying to give it a couple minutes for our lovely ladies to jump on here. Y'all, my reading habits have been horrible. I read one book all of March and that's it. Didn't pick up anything else. Read this one. I finished it on the 31st. So yeah, reading has been a real struggle for me lately. Like, yeah.
I feel you.
Not interested in reading at all. Like TV has taken over life, but yeah, I just have no interest in reading books right now. So I don't know, falling behind on my goals right now.
I'm gonna be right back. I have to sign out because for some reason my camera's not working. I'm gonna come right back.
Oh, no problem. I'll give it another second. Then when she comes back on, I'll get started. I'm in so much back pain right now. Don't know what I did. That's why I'm not in my usual spot with my books and stuff behind me, but I needed a comfy chair today. Let's see. Watching it. Yes, I started Ultimatum, Nicole, today. So I've been watching that, and I was a big fan of Love is Blind, so both seasons. So I wanted to watch this one too. So I started it today. I actually just turned the TV off, so I'm probably on like episode 4 right now. It's getting kind of sticky. I don't know if y'all watch those kind of reality shows, but it's basically these couples are coming on a show and they're giving, one of them is giving the other an ultimatum. So they're going through this process of they got to date people for a week out of the it's 10 people total, 5 couples, and then they got to choose who they wanted to spend for 3 weeks with. So they get to live with this stranger for 3 weeks and kind of make a connection, and then after that they're supposed to go live with the person they came in with for 3 weeks and then kind of choose if they want to stay together, get engaged, or split up. So it's an interesting show.
So I love the person they came in with, they're already a couple, and then they
all split up. Yep. So they come in as couples, and the men choose their women. They kind of all pair up with couples, and then they all kind of just figure it out.
Is the concept like see if the grass is greener kind of thing?
Yep. That's
Okay,
exactly
got
what it is. Yep. I got another person coming in. Okay. All right. There's Talicia. Okay. Yeah. So I'm in the stages where they're still like with the other people. They're trying out these, new relationships and stuff. So it's kind of sticky because they do like the women meet up at some point and then the men meet up. And so they're all like discussing what they're doing, but you're basically telling them what you're doing with their ex. And it's like feelings are coming out right now. So it's a very interesting show. And anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. So we are discussing Carefree Black Girls by Zeba Blay. It's a celebration of Black women and pop culture. This one was a pretty quick read. I did the audiobook. So Zeba is the actual narrator of her own book. So that was pretty cool to listen to. So many little nuggets. I think, well, first of all, what did y'all think? What was your overall opinion? I personally found it fascinating. There was a lot of like fascinating points or things that I learned, but it's kind of like eloquent rage. Like, it's kind of all that same concept of like, we've kind of read
exactly
this before.
what I compared it to.
Yeah.
This is giving me eloquent rage vibes.
Yep. That's exactly
Although
it.
I will say I liked Eloquent Rage a lot better than this.
Me
one.
too. I read it a couple of times too. And I think it was one of our earlier book club picks, like either the first, maybe the second year, something like that. It was like the first year that we were a book club. I think I had that as one of our book club picks.
I read it with you.
Yes. And so I don't know, for me, I was most fascinated to read about Cardi and Lizzo. Like those were my two. Right? Those were my two highlights.
Yep, same here.
Of the book. Yep. I felt like I learned a lot about Cardi B. First of all, okay, let me point this out. I've never in my life thought of Cardi B as being Black. I don't know if anybody else is there with me, but I don't know. For some reason, I just look at her and I don't see a Black woman. Like, I don't know. She's, what did they say she was? She
Trinidad
Caribbean,
and Dominican.
Yeah. And Dominican Republic. Dominican.
Hang on, just. Okay, sorry, I had to curse a child out real quick. Video games are getting wild out there. Yes, so let's say fascinating at times and depressing at other times. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So yeah, I guess I didn't know where she's initially from. So I just have always assumed that, she was Hispanic and I just never knew that she had, I guess depending on where you are from, there's Afro Latinas, but yeah, and I don't think I've personally heard her publicly claim herself as a Black woman. So I think that for me kind of threw me off.
That's what I was interested in trying to see, because to the best of my ability, and I'm a Cardi stan, I love her, but I've never heard her identify as Afro Latino or as Black. She always says she's Trinidad or she's from the Dominican. And I was glad to see her touch on when Cardi was calling the Black women roaches.
Yes.
And then it was after that she started saying, but I'm Black. And it was like, wait a minute. Are you only saying it now because you're getting called out?
Right. Because where was this energy before? Because I was like, I never knew that about her. I think I knew she was part Dominican, but I actually never knew about the Trinidadian part, which is crazy because my dad is from Trinidad. So I would have, if I had known that, I would have put two and two together, would have related to me, but I never knew that part about her. So I was just fascinated, wow, I've just never thought of her. I don't look at her and think Black. I don't know. And I, like you said, I've never heard her publicly claim that. So it was I just kind of had a moment where I was like, huh? What?
That's interesting because for me, I just look at her skin color and I'm like, girl, you Black. You just like a light skin Black. The white people are not going to claim her. So
that's true. That's true. And I've always seen her as, I've always seen her as brown. The word Black just never stuck out to me like that. I don't know. But and I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, Dominican and Trinidadian, so that was like crazy. Yeah. She just has no filter whatsoever. And to like, I don't even know if I remember that part about her calling Black women roaches. Like that was wild to me.
And see, I'm from New York, so I get it. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the lingo that we would use. So I wouldn't have even thought anything of it just because, I mean, that's the culture.
Right. And then knowing that she is Black, like, to me, I feel like someone wouldn't say that unless it was a joke or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like she would, I would hope not, try to offend.
If you watched her on, is it Love and Hip Hop?
Yeah.
She's some of everything came out of Cardi B's mouth. What didn't she say? She said everything.
You're right. She was and actually that's probably where I first learned about her was from watching Love and Hip Hop, and kind of, I loved her personality because she was kind of wild and crazy and like just this like, who is this girl, you know? And yeah, she's wild. But the thing I like about her is she's been authentic and she's been her from the very beginning, like Love and Hip Hop through the stardom.
I was gonna say, fan or not, at least Cardi, that's the one thing I could give her. Cardi's just always been Cardi, so.
Yeah, she's always been vocal, always been loud, always had an opinion about, you know, what was going on. It's just, that's just her. She's gonna tell you how she feels, and that's that. Like, either accept it or you don't.
This is what I was thinking when they was talking about the Cardi B and Minaj beef or whatever. I thought it was pretty interesting because I had to think, when have you heard white females rip each other down, you know, in the pop world? You don't. You really don't.
They did. There was the whole Taylor Swift. They do. We just don't care to listen, but
maybe
right. Who is Taylor Swift beefing with?
I didn't care, but they have it.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of close to that is like the days of like Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and this like competition of the Battle of the Blondes, and you had Jessica Simpson, but I still don't remember like a moment of them like tearing each other down. You know, it just kind of seemed like Mandy Moore, like all of them existed in this world. Now Eminem went in. I remember he went in on Christina Aguilera in one of his songs. But as far as the women, like
he's quite special.
Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift's song, they do, because her song was supposedly about Demi Lovato.
Yeah,
right. What's the one? Cut something blood. Bad Blood. I think.
Bad Blood. Oh.
But so they've had their little beefs and they do their little things in their songs. But like I said, we probably just didn't. You know, you got to be
paying attention to them.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess maybe I'm thinking, I don't know if I would think of them at a party ready to swing on each other.
Right. Like Cardi B's gonna cut somebody. She probably got a razor blade under her tongue. Like she's ready.
She was like, I will punch you in your closure. Like, wait a minute. You like, okay. She's great.
Yes. And then the other parts that I liked was Lizzo. Again, the stereotypes against her, and I actually love, like, I so appreciate Lizzo for who she is. And I don't know if you guys have Prime Video, but just yesterday I finished watching her show. It's like a dance competition show that she has with the big girls, like the girls that she has dancing. Really? And it's a whole competition where she's looking for new big girl dancers. And it's so motivational to see these girls like just so determined and not letting the stereotype of being skinny fit dancers like stop them from, and I'm telling you, when these girls are good, like representing plus size women, like it's amazing to watch. It's really inspirational. It's about 8 episodes, but it's on Prime Video, so if you can watch that, it made me just have an appreciation for Lizzo and really like pouring into these women and just really representing for big girls. Like I think that's just is such a cool thing, and these girls who are just embracing themselves as is and not caring about people's opinions, and they're just it was pretty cool to watch. So if y'all are Lizzo fans,
remember how excited we got a few years ago when Monique was hosting some awards show and she got up there with a bunch of big girls and was dancing to Beyonce's song, and everybody like gave them a standing ovation.
Yes, and it's very similar.
What's interesting with both of those comments though is how I read the narrative is we're not asking for that. like, we're not asking for you to be inspired by our socks, or we're not asking to motivate you. Like, we're just
accept us as we are.
Right. Yeah,
that's absolutely.
But as
point.
you see, right, we tend to be like, oh, like, you do kind of acknowledge, like, oh, I don't know, I just.
And I think that was even
kind of like, well,
yeah, and that's a great
guilty,
point.
I guess.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think that was even stated in the show as like one of the comments I think made was like, oh, you're in shape for a big girl. Like, why can't I just be in shape as a dancer overall? Because that's who I am. But it's because you're in such good shape because you're a big girl. Like, the expectation of you're supposed to be lesser than, or because you're this size, you can't keep up and stuff like that. And I tell you, like, and I mean, yeah, I guess like we all have this thing in our, I know I do, is like you automatically look at that and just say like, damn, like I can't even like keep up with that and stay in shape. So it's like, go you, like, you do want to give that extra encouragement, but yeah, it's like, why are we looking at them any different? Like, she's a dancer, okay, this is what she's made to do. Like, she's just a human being like everybody else.
I think it's the representation of it, right? Because she even talks about like how representation is not good enough of just being there. You really have to like change culture. So now if we do have these little girls who are plus size girls growing up, you know, they're not just seeing the skinny girls dancing in the background no more. So it's kind of like, wow, you guys are doing this for a big girl, but it's like, you are changing culture. You're
that's it. And right. And people are embracing it. And I think that's what I love is like, you know, on this show that like they're wearing what they want. They got the cutoff shorts and just like the cutest outfits, and it looks so cute at them. Whereas I think if this had been a time like maybe 10 years ago, people unfortunately might have been repulsed or something, you know, they would have had a different reaction to this. And I think Lizzo is helping making big be embraced as beautiful and being the norm. Like, why can't we just accept people for who they are? And I love that she's bringing attention to that. And I hate that there's this stereotype, and even I'm guilty of it, is like, oh, you're a big girl, but you're rocking this. What, like, it should just be you're beautiful, period. But I think Lizzo is kind of making a way for that to be the norm. When you look at her, it's like, I mean, it was outrageous when Lizzo first came on the scene, and sometimes some of the stuff she's wearing and some of the backlash that she would get, and people are like, oh my God, like, she's wearing a thong to the Lakers game and stuff like that. Like, people really have some reactions to a lot of the stuff that she wears. And I hope that it comes to a point where it's like, it's normal to see like anybody who wants to wear a crop top can wear a crop top and be comfortable in that. If they feel beautiful in their skin, then that's just.
I'm still gonna talk about you skinny or not if you wear a thong.
Right.
But
right.
But
I don't remember. Yes, I'm sure you.
I don't remember they referenced in the book what they gave her backlash because she was doing a diet drink and some exercise.
Yes,
I don't remember that.
She did. She did a 10-day
I didn't know
cleanse.
About it.
She did a 10-day cleanse, and I think
it was on TikTok.
Yeah, because I follow her on TikTok, and she posts a lot of good content on there too. But yeah, she was drinking it there, and it's like, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, if Lizzo decides she wants to do that, right, then let her do that. Right. It's for her body. Like, stop policing her.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
that's what people do to those stars, even with this Will Smith and Jada thing. We go for it though. We attack it, you know, the famous people. Yeah. We ain't got nothing to do to sit behind our screen and make comments. They can't see us or do anything. Yeah, so we get real bold and brazen then.
And I'm so
or cowardly, however you want to look at that.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that was definitely something I wanted to discuss with y'all tonight, was that whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. Like, I know I'm probably one of the few. I get Will Smith's perspective. I completely think he's 100% wrong for doing it, but I also sympathize with him at the same time. Like, you know, you're talking about his wife, and supposedly he didn't know that she had.
I didn't know, so I
didn't know either. Yeah,
I did. She talked about it a little bit on her social media and stuff like that. So I've not seen her talk about it often, but I had heard that. It might have been a Red Table Talk.
It was a Red Table Talk
episode or something that I think I watched, and that's how I knew about it. So a lot of people didn't know.
Everybody doesn't follow Will and Jada. I know they think they do, but they don't.
Right.
I honestly, I mean, and we don't know, right? So, but I don't think it had. I think he's under a lot of pressure. I think he was right to say he was overwhelmed, and I honestly think it could have been anything. I don't really think it was that deep that he really thought that hard about it being about Jada. Honestly,
right. It's just the whole world is looking at him. He's under a microscope, like this whole August Alsina thing.
Yeah, I think it was a combination. Yep, a build
of everything, and it was just like that was the breaking point. Right.
Yeah, and then with her.
Yeah, that was the breaking
comparing
point.
him to Tupac, and she's constantly bringing Tupac up all the time. I saw a comedian say on TV that Tupac probably rolling over his grave, like, she talking about me again. Like, she's constantly comparing him to that. The part that I don't like, the part that's driving me crazy is all of these, and we're all Black in here, so I can say this. All of I call them 8.5 by 11s. They're just all outraged. Like Amy Schumer's like, I'm so traumatized.
Finding a way to make it about her. Yeah.
Yes, I need to take a break off. He needs to give his Oscar back. If somebody said Harvey Weinstein has 80 Oscars and nobody's asked him to give his back.
Exactly. So now
assaulted women.
Always holding us to a standard.
Well, I don't think it needs to go that far. I don't think it needs to go that far. He does need to be disciplined because he was dead wrong. But that Oscar was for his accomplishment that happened before. That has nothing to do with what happened that night. He earned that. And that shouldn't even be a consideration, taking away his Oscar. He earned that.
Well, speaking of the will thing, because one of the things they talked about in the book is what does it mean to be carefree, right? So a lot of people who, I don't want to say they're accepting of the whole will drama, but they're like, you all don't want a Black queen being protected. No one said that he couldn't protect his Black queen, but at no point is he to put his hands
on someone
else. He could have protected her. I would have even been okay with him going up to the stage and saying, look,
you got to cut it out.
My wife. And that would have been it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not saying that we don't want to be protected or it's wrong to protect his Black queen. I mean, I'm a school teacher and here I am every single day. You don't have the right to put your hands on anybody. So now every time somebody says something about us, whether we like it or not, we can just slap them. I mean, and they were like, our Black men would be in jail. You want them to give us a reason to just they will put us in jail. To just go up slapping people. You can't do that.
Right. And that's the thing.
That's the part that was irritating for me, where people were like, you guys are just mad because a Black queen is finally being protected and you don't like it. No, it's how he chose.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed. And make no mistakes about it. Chris chose I'm eating pizza. Sorry, I didn't want to eat.
You're fine.
But Chris Rock chose not to press charges, but let him have, although, again, I don't think he would have, but let it have been Seinfeld that said it or whatever, read the joke. He wouldn't have got up there and slapped him. And if he had, he'd have been arrested.
I believe that. I believe it's different standards because there's two Black people, two Black on Black crime. Everybody was just observing.
And it was produced by a Black person. Would this have happened if it was produced by a white person?
No. Very true. Some interesting points.
It is. And one of the things that I wish, not that I wish this happened, but it would be nice to see, I can't pronounce her name right, Zeba, am I saying it right? If she would admit Carefree Black girls and add this in there, because there's so many fake quotes. People are saying it's fake about Jada talking about how she's a strong woman. She didn't need him to protect her. And if somebody from Will's camp said that was a false quote. And it makes me think about in her book when she talked about how the word strong being put on Black women is like, I want to say drowning us, because she said it's like we put it on Black women because we're saying we're meant to live in pain all the time. You know, that was the one thing that I liked, that I picked up big time from her book, was when she said that, because I do not like it all the time when people say, oh, you're so strong, as if Black women can't break down, as if we cannot feel pain. And pretty much I'm not siding with Will or Chris. It was funny to me, but I laughed the whole time.
Right.
When people keep saying, but Jada's so strong, what, why? Just because she's quote unquote so strong, she doesn't feel pain? She didn't feel embarrassed? Like, and that's one thing people always want to say is Black women are so strong, like we can't feel pain, we can't be embarrassed by things. It's like we're supposed to brush it off. And you know, that's what I think about with
I hate that whole Black women are strong. Like, even with Kanye and the hot ass mess that he is lately, like, a lot of people's reaction is, oh, that's why Kanye needs a black woman. Like, no, we don't want his crazy ass. Like, it's not our job to fix him. Like, period. Stop putting that on black women. It's like every time there's a fucking problem, we're always at the bottom of the barrel. But when it's a fucking problem, excuse my French, y'all want to turn to black women and let us be, you know, the superheroes again. And it's like,
yes,
we're done saving people. Like, we're done. We're tired. Like, when does it get to a point where you saved yourself? How about Kanye just goes and gets some help? And not from a black woman, like, unless she's his therapist or some doctor, like, let it not be us.
That has been my new phrase, because I am single in Atlanta. I'm sorry, these guys come to me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not here to fix you. Like, you got to come to me already prepped and ready to go. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of training. And that was
you're speaking on that. I dated somebody in 2020, and Jess could tell you he was a hot fucking mess, and a lot of that was like the lack of therapy and not like just, you know, the tension with his relationship with his own mother, and just wasn't affectionate and just really didn't know how to love and treat a woman. Like, he just didn't have it in it. And I'm like, I got to the point after almost 8, 9, 10 months, like, I'm tired. Like, I can't force you to get help. I can't force you to be a certain way. You're a 44-year-old man. Like, I can't teach you how to love somebody at this age. This is something that you yourself have to figure out. And even after that, there was times where like we broke up in a good chunk of time, and it was like he was coming back in my life again, but it was like the same thing over again. It's like text and then don't hear from you for a couple weeks, and then you text, and it's just like the same repeating. We're getting nowhere. So finally I just got to the point where I was like, block. And then right when I did that is like when, you know, my knight in shining armor came into my life last fall, and it was like it worked out. But I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and save you. I'm done saving people. Like, I've gone through the healing and the therapy post-divorce. Like, I've done all of the work that I need to be the best Renee that I can be to whomever I'm going to marry. I'm not doing the same work for you. Sorry. Nyla posted in here, sorry, real quick. Do you think that maybe he and Chris have bad blood? So yes, there was another instance that I saw online where he made a joke about Jada prior to this. I can't off the top of my head remember what that joke was.
I think that was 2000.
The Oscars.
That was 2016. Remember
when she didn't
Jada
come,
had that
right?
whole hashtag Oscars so white. It was reported that they had asked Chris to step down from hosting the Oscars that year. Because they were good friends before, and he refused. And then he got up there and told a couple of jokes at their expense. The joke was, Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. So when he said it, it was funny. It was funny at the time he said it. I laughed. It was a funny joke. Yeah.
Look, Jamie said, keep Kanye. Yeah, I don't want no parts of Kanye. Like, the Kardashians is what you wanted. Go over there. Like,
stay with them. Yeah,
they don't want to stay fixing some black man. Go ahead.
I like what you said though, Renee, because it's like, why do they want, like, I'm tired. Like you said, I'm tired of trying to fix people. Like, I have a coworker, she's the same age as me. We have kids the same age. She's white, but she's like just carefree. Like, she just goes about her life, you know, when she wants to travel, she travels, and da. And here I am, I'm second guessing, like, is it going to be a bad mom? They're going to look at me as a bad mom if I take a trip without my daughter, or am I going to be looked at as a bad mom because I'm dating 2 guys, you know? And it's just like, why do we put so much stress on ourselves? And then I'll be looking at my counterparts, and they just, one of them is married and she out here living her good life, and she married. And it's like, wait, you married, you know? And it's just kind of crazy. Like, I want to be carefree like that, but it's like, why do we get to that point where we feel like we put all that weight on our shoulders, and then we bring these men in who they got all these traumas and they need to heal, and now we got to carry their traumas along with ours.
So Nicole, what you're saying, because I actually quoted this in the book when she talked about respectability has always been a factor when it comes to Black women and their bodies, their hair, the way they speak, the way they dress, the size, the darkness, the lightness of the skin, all have become tools in which we quantify certain values or level of class. So I know, like, we always want to be seen with respect. We always want to be treated with respect. But like Nicole said, you know, we do have to second guess and ask ourselves, like, you know, is someone going to think less of me if I do this? You know, even for me, like, again, as a school teacher, my cousin, she does my hair, and she's like, well, I don't want to put a whole lot of color in it because, you know, I know you got to be professional. I'm like, girl, no, we need to do something different because these white folks walking around with purple, orange, and green hair in the school system, nobody's saying nothing to them.
Listen, I work for the state of Georgia, and that's my exact thought. It's like, do you know how badly I want to dye my hair blue or purple and just do something different? And the amount of white women that just walk around our office with their hair being like that and no judgment, like, I can't tell you how many comments I've gotten having braids like that. People have made such a big deal about it. And mind you, this is the first time in my adult life that I've had them. I haven't had them since like 3rd grade, but I've just not done it. But like the amount of comments and things that people make, like especially white people, about like me having braids is just, it's crazy to me. I'm like, I just really didn't think it would be that big of a deal. It's like,
is it they're positive comments or negative?
They're positive, but they're just like in shock that I have braids. Like they've never seen me with hair like this before, or I don't even know if I've ever.
I'm telling you, every time I change my hair from like a crochet or something, my white kids look at me like, "Is she the sub? Like, what's going on?" They're so, you know, they don't. They're like, "Wow, you're so versatile. You change your hair like every month," and I'm like, "It's still me. I'm still the same teacher." Like,
yeah, but it
used to be the worst.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say like.
Oh, go ahead, Nolly. No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, when I was going into the building and I would change my hair all the time, the lady at the front desk, literally, who saw me come into the office every single day, would look at me like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "I have the same face. Like, yeah, my hair has changed, but it's still me. Why are you acting brand new?"
Right. And
but they don't change their hair that much. That's because they don't change their hair that much. So.
Right.
They don't have the versatility. Like,
no, they will always say,
that's why
I could do that with my hair.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what
and they probably really do.
Yeah. It's one of the most beautiful things about being a Black woman is the fact that we can change our hair and do so many different things. Like they could never.
And then, like, the whole idea of like respect, like I have a white principal, and one of my coworkers, she was wearing her hair naturally and like the Afro ponytail and everything. And she told her, like, in front of a bunch of other white people, well, maybe you'll have, well, her hair was straight that day. And she goes, maybe you'll have a better attitude since your hair is straight. She would have left in a body bag and I would have left in handcuffs. Like,
yeah, that would have been a problem.
I would have Will Smith slapped her for real.
Right.
What? Yeah. Oh no.
But it's like, how dare you?
Wow. That's a trip to whoever's EO. That doesn't go over.
Oh God, it's so cute. Okay, I need to get out these issues.
That's insane. But yeah, it's like Black women, they just always find a reason to can't be great. I'm just trying to, if y'all have other points in the book that you want to talk about, feel free to chime in.
It was one in the book that I liked when she talked about, I think it was self-care, but she talked about how the stress was a killer in her family. And I had screenshotted it because I actually had got the the Kindle book.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to screenshot stuff at work to remember. But I just remember she talked about how it killed her mother. Well, I don't think it killed her mother, but the stress, how it was going through her family, and how we as Black women just keep the stress on us. And she was talking about the hypertension and all of that. And I was just like, wow, that really impacted me, because during the pandemic, I don't know where all of this anxiety and stress came from. And I used to just be, it was like, I felt like it was going to like suffocate me. And when I seen her talk about that, I was like, I know that that's some things that other women in my family experience. And the crazy thing that pulled me out of it was a friend of mine's invited me to this book club, even though I'll never see her in none of the book club meetings. She actually added me to this because she knew how much I used to love to read. And my love for reading came back from this. And I started reading everything. And it helped with my anxiety. And that was, I like that she talked about how that's something in the Black community we don't talk a lot about. We just deal with it and keep going. As my daughter's in my room dancing, get out.
Yep. I completely agree with you. And it was like, you know, I reflected because my twins just turned 10 last Saturday. And so for me, like it hit me like they're 10, you know, and for me that a big part of that was how much I did by myself in 10 years. And like, you know, their father, like it kind of makes me tear up a little bit, but just, you know, their father has been in and out living his own life and has only really been back the past 2.5 years. So, you know, we get along, we're able to co-parent now, but there's still this little piece of me that will snap on him every once in a while. And it's like, even this past weekend, he was like, the kids, we went to Universal all day Friday. We drove to Tampa, and I said, hey, y'all can go ahead and get in the pool when we get to the hotel for a couple of hours before we go to bed. They didn't play till 12. Their first game was at 12 on Saturday, whatever. I'm like, they have time to go to the pool and sleep in. And so he sent me a text message and was like, well, you know, basically telling me to be responsible, make sure he gets to bed on time and all this stuff. And I was like, last time I checked, when it comes to being a responsible parent, I'm it. Like, I've been here for all 10 years, not missed a minute, a second, none of that. So like, you've been living in North Carolina, living your life, doing whatever. So the nerve of you to tell me how to parent when I've been around here. But I'm like, this is why a little piece of me will always dislike you, because I feel like at some point you left me and my children for dead, and now like you always want to make your smart comments about what you're doing. Like, no, like I'm still doing the bulk of everything, like paying for everything. With this is your trip that you planned for your basketball team, but who's watching the kids? And even though it's my weekend, like I'm paying for the bulk of stuff and not even offering like, hey, I'll pay for dinner for one child or do this and that. It's like that stuff infuriates me because I'm already like doing the extra when it comes to sports and paying thousands of dollars and tutoring and all. I did that all by myself. Yeah, you pay for child support, but that doesn't include sports and tutoring and all of that stuff. So it's like, you don't help with that. So it's like a little piece of me always wants to just like light him up. And this, I as healed as I am from that situation and that marriage, like I just always think there's going to be a piece of me that's just secretly going to hate him, because it's just like this position that you put me and your children in. It's like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over that.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way, because my daughter's father is in Texas, and he sends me this thing like, hey, because he sings and stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm on this album. You should promote it. I said, can I promote your child support? And and I was like, you out here living your best life, you know? Like, she's getting ready to graduate. She's in all of these activities. She just joined my little sister organization. Like, but you living your best life. But let me say, I need a week to myself. I'm worried about if everybody gonna call me a bad mama because I want to take a week to myself, you know?
That's it.
So and it's no.
Yeah, I've learned to the point just not to feel guilty, because I've earned it. Like, I've truly earned it. So I no longer, I'm like, hey, okay, you keep them for a couple of days, like you'll be all right. Like I'm not gonna feel guilty, because I know that I break my back 24/7 for them, you know. And even like this week, spring break, even though we're at home, like you work from home, you literally could have said, hey, do you want me to take them for a few days or do whatever? And it's just, and trying to change the schedule up, and it's like, oh, well, let me take them on Wednesday nights. I'm like, do you know, you don't understand, like even just taking them in the middle of the week, how much that disrupts our weekly plans of lessons and practices, and me having to pack a bag in the middle of the week to send them to you. And it doesn't work. Like I get that you want them, but it's more of a hassle for you to take them in the middle of the week than it is helping me. Like just let us ride. We've been doing this for 10 years. Just let us ride.
Right.
Let us be. I can't.
And Nicole, you know, you can highlight in your Kindle and color code it, and it'll show up in your notes section so that you don't have to keep screenshotting.
Yeah, and if you have Goodreads, you can post it to your Goodreads.
Yes, because you know, I'm normally not a Kindle reader. I love to hold my books in my hand, but I think it was Amazon Prime was like, hey, you could get Kindle Unlimited for free. So my daughter has a Kindle she wasn't using, so I busted out, and I'm like, oh, let me get all of these books. Yep. And so now I got like 100. I got so many books in there. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm a Kindle reader now.
And let me tell you what I just learned today. It's probably just me, because I'm not on the Kindle as much either. But I was looking, and I was actually talking to Erica, who's also in the group, and I'm like, okay, in one spot it says I'm 74% done, but then when I come out of it, it'll say 69%. So I'm like, what's the discrepancy? But I realized like one is the actual book, and then the rest is the whole book with the acknowledgments and the resources. And I was like, so here I am. At one point I was flipping. I was like, wait, how did I go from 74 and back down to 69? I'm trying to get it done. like, oh, that's what it's doing. So
yeah, I love my Kindle too. Like I usually have books in all three forms: audio, Kindle, and then the physical copy, which most times is just to post to Instagram because it looks pretty. But yeah, I love my Kindle. It's just so easy.
How I got
the highlighting,
the
notes when you're having a book club meeting, it's just so much easier. And searching, if you like put the book down for a while and you come back and you don't know who this character is, all you got to do is search that name and all these references come up. And after you read a couple of them, you're familiarized again with who that person is. I love the Kindle. I prefer that.
Physical copy of love songs. I ain't get through that yet.
I haven't finished. I've been reading it since
good.
like January.
That was good.
Me too.
It is good, but I just, like I said, I've not been in a mood to read or listen to anything, and I've actually been doing the audio. So it's just me. I need to sit down and just finish it. It's good, but I don't want to read anything.
Yeah.
And then when the end of the month comes, it's like, oh, let me go ahead and at least read the book club read so that I can.
When you have these really huge books, it's actually easier if you could find a group read, somebody who's doing a group read to get through it.
That's true. It does help. I think I did that with
Joe Scott's audio in there. Did you mean
I've not seen it, so I don't know. But it would be nice if you did.
Okay. I was looking for it. Okay.
I don't think so.
It's older, so I guess probably not. Okay.
But from what I've heard, some of her poems have actually been turned into songs. So I want to figure out which ones those are. Yeah, but I don't think that there's an audio book of that. But what was I gonna say? Have y'all read? I was just reading some of them. Y'all reminded me to look at my Kindle notes and highlights and stuff like that, and how much they talk about the Black body and how we're in constant anticipation of some form of violence, like against us, and then how Black bodies were regarded not only as commodities but as exotic objects, to be prodded and gawked at like that. Hold on, my computer's trying to restart. Have y'all read They Are Her Property at all?
No,
I haven't read that yet. No.
That book is interesting. I don't know why this popped in my head, but it's basically talks about slavery, but the white women's role, and how they're kind of looked at innocently, and how like the males, when we look at slavery, we look at the men and their roles and the rape and stuff like that. But that book talks about how much white women have, honestly, maybe even a bigger role in how Black women were treated and sold into prostitution and things like that. Like it's a lot dealing with how our bodies and things were treated and how Black women treated us.
Is it a little bit of an easier read? Because I started Mothers of Massive Resistance, and it's very good information. I mean, it talks about, again, white women being worse than the white men, because they were the nurses, they were the the social workers, so they were the ones that allowed the birth certificates, like, oh no, they're Black, and maybe they weren't, you know what I mean? So it does talk. It's really good, but I just can't get through it because it's like a textbook. But there's so much good information in there.
Yeah, to me it was an easy read. I prefer the audiobook. That's the way that I read. I did have the physical copy too, but I did the audio version of it, and I found it fascinating because my mind was just blown. When I think of slavery, I always think of the men and the part they play, and you kind of just think that the white women are just being strung along because this is their lifestyle and they just kind of go along with it. When the truth is like they're really the masterminds behind a lot of the shit that was going on during slavery. So
what's the name of the book?
What was the book that we just recently read about slavery?
What did we just read?
Winch?
Yes, where she's trying to sell off the slave, her husband's slave on that horse. That's what just popped into my head, Jamie, when I was like, what did we just read? Where it was kind of like she was the mastermind, but that's a lot of what happened during this time.
How many lynchings?
Yeah.
Back to he looked at
Emmett Till, like that kind of shit.
He whistled at me.
Yeah. Their lies.
Yeah. What's the name of this book again?
They Are Her Property, and I think it's Stephanie. Hang on, I could tell you in a second. It's in my
on Script D.
Yes, and it's on. Hold on, I have it in my library. Let me see. Finished books. Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. They Were Her Property.
Okay.
Yeah, it's white women as slave owners in the American South. So tiny, so I'm trying to read it.
That has been on my TBR for like
it's a good one. I read it a long time ago, but it's really good. It just made me think of like when I was reading that quote on there and how our bodies are treated and how we're just looked at as like exotic. It's so funny to me though, like in how they treat Black people. It's like, you know, you guys kind of look at us in disgust when you come to Jim Crow laws and things like that, and how you don't want us drinking out of the same water fountain, but like you could sleep with Black women. Like
when she was talking about that girl too who had a baby by a Black guy. She was a biracial baddie from Instagram, and the first thing she did when she looked at her baby was, oh my God, she doesn't have pretty eyes, her ears are dark, and it was like, but you laid up with a Black man.
Like, what did you expect? Like
a dark-skinned man at that.
Right. You just
my daughter used to watch them on YouTube.
Wow. What were their names?
The Prince family.
My children watch them all the time. I didn't know it was Bianca.
Annoyed me to no end. It's Bianca.
Oh, Bianca's boy. I know exactly who you're talking about. As soon as you said the Prince family, Bianca gets on my last nerve. My kids listen to that 24/7 every day. And I'm like, oh, here's Bianca again with her annoying ass voice.
Oh man. I have things highlighted for things that I'm going to look up and research after this book, but I'm not.
Look, my daughter's up here. Like, you heard me talking about the Prince family.
Is that what it's called? Something on TV?
Yeah, the Prince family. That's their. But I had no idea in reading that's who they were talking about, because they love watching the Prince family. Like, she's like cracking up. Every week, it's like, oh, the Prince family came out with a new video, Tenley. Like they're obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
She's still laughing up there.
I mean, it's fun because like my cousins are biracial, and one of them is a girl and a boy. One dates Black, but the boy he dates white. He married a white woman, and it was funny because she says we were hanging out and it was hot. It was summertime. She goes, oh, I just told him to come in the house because I married a mixed man, not a Black man. He's getting too dark. And I'm sitting here thinking like, so you do see all these Black faces here right now. And she just said it so casually and walked away. And we were all kind of just shocked. Like, did she just say that? And that kind of stuff. Like I tell my sister, she has a friend who's white and she dates Black men. I said, it's things like that where that bothers me, because it's like, you want to date Black men, you want to be with us, you want to emulate Black women, but then when stuff happens, then you want to throw your white fragility out there. Like, she didn't want to go into certain neighborhoods, but you wanted to dress like us, you wanted to date our men. But when we said we were going to a Black trivia night, but it wasn't in the best part of town, she's, oh, am I safe? I said, were you safe when you was looking for Black men that night? Like, so how is it now you're questioning? And that's the part that just bothers me. It's like they emulate us. They talked about our bodies. I remember when I was younger and all the controversy about Janet Jackson and her butt. And now everybody has butts that are huge and lips that are huge. And it's like everything. I'll never forget when I think it was Kim or Chloe, one of them had cornrows in their hair. And everybody was like, oh, look at this new fashion trend. I said, what? That ain't no fashion trend.
We've been doing this.
My mama put that in my head when she want to come. But now it was a beautiful thing to have cornrows, but we were talked about for it. And it's just, it's crazy how the things that represent our culture are not good enough until one of them does it.
And then it becomes a trend. And then you see it in Glamour magazine where it's like, oh, try these new hairstyles. And I'm like, cornrows? Like, really? Or Bantu knots? Like, we've been doing this stuff. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. And I have family members like that. Like, my family is very mixed. My great-great-grandmother is white, but married a Black man. So, like, half of the family married white, and obviously I'm on the Black side. So it's like, I have cousins that literally just look like they're white, and then cousins that look like they're Black, which, you know, but very few married. Actually, my mom might be, of the grandchildren, she might be the only one that like went, her and my grandmother, that went to the Black side. So it's actually, you know, most of my cousins look white, but some of them speak those same concerns about the color of their skin and things like that. They're so concerned that their Black side is gonna come out, and it baffles my mind that that's even a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This book talks about colorism. Interesting question was
it's hot in here.
What?
That's
sorry,
y'all.
y'all.
You're fine.
Oh, sorry.
Totally fine.
An interesting question is, it was wondered if Beyonce or Cardi B would be as successful as they are now if they were dark skinned.
And the answer to me is no, because like, I mean, I think Kelly Rowland is capable of singing or Michelle is just as good of a singer as, if not better than Beyonce. And, you know, she was pushed to the forefront.
So true.
I think,
not Michelle.
Not Michelle. Okay, we'll stick with Kelly. But again, because Kelly's skin is darker, she doesn't get the shine that Beyonce does. So you're absolutely correct in that.
And they were trying to name, I don't know if it was this or another book, they were trying to name 30 young people who are successful that are
I remember that. Yes.
And it was struggling. And when it came down to it, they had to go to people who were a little older.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the trend now, because think about it. You have don't get me wrong, I love Zendaya. I think she's an awesome actress, but you have like Zendaya, you have Zoe, and you have Stormy. I think we're getting back to this trend with especially the younger Black actresses of this being able to look transparent, like they can cross lines. Like they don't want them to look as Black so that they can play multiple roles. Because as I'm looking at a lot of the younger, when she said that name 30 under 30, I was like,
right.
All I could name was the girl from Blackish. Me too. Yes. But when I thought about mixed girls, I was rattling them off. Amanda Steinberg. I was like, you know, like I couldn't just rattle them off. And I think we're getting back to that phase again where is lighter better, or is it, you know, I had a conversation with my friend because we're both plus size. She's light skinned and I'm dark skinned. And I said to her, I said, you know, they're going to talk to a light skinned plus size girl before they talk to a dark skinned plus size girl. Because now I have two things against me. I'm dark skinned and I'm plus size. And she was kind of baffled. And she was hurt that I said it. I said, it's not nothing to be hurt about. I'm telling you the truth. It's what I deal with every day.
Right.
But because you're light skinned with long hair and fair eyes, they can bypass your plus size a little bit because you have what they see as a beauty of being light skinned.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me back to college for me.
No fault of our own, because we didn't get to pick our shades.
Right. But in college, like I was a collegiate softball player. I'd been playing softball from the time that I was 9 years old until I was 22. So imagine me being in the sun 24/7 with little breaks. I honestly thought that I was darker complected. So when I graduated from college and stopped being in the sun so much and my skin was like this, I was like, who is this person? Because I honestly thought that my skin, like if y'all saw pictures of me, and I'll try to find one and see if I can post it or whatever, but like y'all wouldn't even recognize me. But it was like that, what she talked about maybe I think she made reference to dating, and because she would go out with her friends and because she was like the darker one, it was kind of like she wasn't looked at as, and I kind of experienced that as just like, you know, I mean, playing a mostly white sport and going to a mostly white college, like I was, you know, one of the few Black girls out there. So it was like, when you're going up against white girls and Hispanic girls and stuff like that too, it's like, yeah, you're the last to be noticed, even by the basketball team who's all Black. It's just like that they want the lighter complected girls. And I just want to go back.
Too. That's baffling too, that we have to deal with looking at all the really great looking brothers chasing after the light skinned or white women.
Yep. It's
and it's I mean, she talked about how like trauma is passed down through generations. And for me, what I thought about was when I was a little girl and I went to a mostly white Catholic school, and all I heard was, oh my God, you're pretty to be a brown skinned girl or a dark skinned girl, or oh my God, do you really have long hair? Is that really your hair? So now as a recently 38-year-old, my cousin's like, do you want me to cut your hair? I'm like, you don't touch my hair. You don't touch my hair, because people won't believe that this is my hair. And so I still have this trauma of like, you can wear weaves, you can do whatever you want to your hair, but you don't actually, I know it can go back, but I'm still like, don't touch your hair. It's my crown and glory. Like, don't do it. And I'm just thinking like, little things that we pass down that we don't even know.
I had trauma from long hair and couldn't, as soon as I could cut it, I cut it.
Because, be free.
Well, it is freeing, that part. But because I couldn't get through the room because you have green eyes and long hair, you've already judged me.
Yeah,
that's true. You don't even know me. Like, oh, you're stuck up. Like, what? I'm the silliest, goofiest person, but it's like, oh, and it was like on repeat. Oh, I thought you were stuck out when I first. Oh, I always thought like afterwards, my friends would tell me how much they hated me before they got to know me. Like, oh, when I first saw you, like, thanks. Like, okay. Wow, right? Like, so I couldn't wait to like, okay, well, that's something I could control. Like, I couldn't change my eyes, but like, well, let me get rid of the long hair so I have a chance to like, you can maybe ask my name or like maybe, get to know me before you decide what you think you know about me.
Right. I'm also going back to the comment you said, Jamie, about being teased about your lips all the time and now they're fillers. Like, I hated my lips. Like, I remember moving to Georgia in 7th grade, and that was one of the first things that I got made fun of was the fact that I had big lips. And my mom, like, I remember prom, being at the Mac counter and her wanting to put lipstick on me, and she was like, man, people pay for your lips. And it wasn't a trend back then in the early 2000s or whatever. So for me, I was like, nah, clear gloss. Like,
I asked my dad for surgery.
Wow.
I
was like, I'm not wearing no color on my lips.
Can I get the fat sucked out of my lips? And I was like, so I was young. It started like young, like soup coolers. You look like this, you look like that. You look like you do this, right? All of that. And he was like, we'll talk about it when you get older. And I was like, why didn't you? Then I started kissing him and was like, okay. But I was like, why didn't you, as I started to embrace them, like, tell me, like, heck no. And he was like, because he knew, like,
when you get older, it's going to be something you'll embrace.
Yeah, like, I'd appreciate it and I'd get into it. But yeah, that was crazy.
It took me almost 30 years.
It was us, of course.
Yeah. Yep. It always is. And it took me almost 30 years before I would wear like colors. And then red became like my signature. Like I started playing with it and that was like my thing. But it took me so long to embrace that and not feel like I looked like a Bozo the Clown when I had red lipstick on, because I just felt like it was drawing so much attention to my lips. And I was like, nah, let's just wear lip glosses, until I was almost like 30 years old. And then I started wearing colors. So, but yeah, it's just, people are cruel.
Yeah.
People are cruel.
I was on the other side because my mother, her father is white, but she got with my daddy and he is as black as the midnight soul sun. Like, I was like, there's no way you would think my mother was biracial when you see my dad, but we got her lips. And I used to be so jealous of the black girls because I used to be like, oh my gosh, my lips doesn't look like theirs. Like when I smile, my top lip disappears. And I just was so envious of that. And once I started seeing the girls get fillers, I was like, I should do it. Oh, I should do it. Like, I should be like them, because then I would feel like part of the community because I would have full lips, but I never did it. But I was always envious when I saw Black women with full lips because I just thought it was beautiful. Like, and I didn't have it. Like, I would put my lipstick on and it would disappear. And it would be like, that's when I started drawing, how they draw the lip liner way above the lip and everything. Looking like a clown.
It's easy to see beauty in others when you kind of like wish you had it, because I think that's how it is with white women, right? Like they go tanning to get near our skin color, you know what I mean? They're sitting out in the sun forever to get some color to them, and it's like you do find color beautiful, you want to use it at your expense, or
Yeah. Remy, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I just felt the same way as a kid, that's all.
Yeah.
My mom was adopted by a Black couple, but her mom was white and her dad was Black. And so she has like smaller lips, but then like my siblings have like big, gorgeous lips. And, we'd always joke about them, but, it was with the assumption that they were like beautiful. And my mom always like really adored Black features. So then there was a lot of that in my house where it was like, oh, I love this, I love that. So for me, it was like, oh, I got cursed my white grandmother. And I just met her like 2 years ago. And I'm like, I've been cursing you a lot. For a lot. Okay. Like everything. So I felt the same way growing up, where I was like, why didn't I get that?
Yes, yeah.
I got the discrimination, but I didn't get the lips.
I'm also interested to see
what we don't have. We always want what
Mhm.
we don't have.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see
think that's
like how this generation, like my kids, because they take after me and have fuller lips. Like I've not heard them say that they've been made fun of, but I'm thinking because now it's a trend and people are getting lip fillers and it's a thing to have thicker lips. Like I'm thinking that it's going to be the norm for them and they won't be made fun of for the same thing that we were made fun of growing up. Yeah, me too. Any other, I know we're cutting close to time, any other last minute points from the book or anything, thoughts that you guys want to talk about?
I just came to say hi because my meeting ended and I thought about you.
I know, I was glad to see you pop in.
I was like,
Jess was in here.
Say hi.
Yeah, Jess was in here a second ago. She had to go, she's traveling and stuff like that. So she left, I think, right before you came on too. So yeah. Any other final thoughts? It definitely made for a good book with some good discussion for us tonight. So I was happy for that. I learned some interesting things, but again, it's like one of those books that we've kind of read before and heard those points. But I did like reading more about, I guess, today's things that are happening currently, Lizzo and Cardi B and those celebrities that are in the limelight and some of the issues that we're dealing with present day.
Why do you think she had those pictures in there? Because when I got to the pictures, I thought somehow they were going to like connect or be more so about the person. I was trying to find the connection.
The only thing, and I didn't even, because I listened to the audio, I didn't even really pay attention to that. But my only thing is that long list of Black women that she put in there. I'm assuming that because I see Ida B in there, and I know Ida was one of the people that she said for us to like really go get to know these Black women or research them. I think these are the women that are on that list. That's my assumption. Yeah, because Harriet Tubman's on there. So I think she just sprinkled their pictures throughout. That's just my guess. Trying to see. Any other? What'd you say?
It was good. I mean, at first I got to like 12%. It was like, oh, this is kind of depressing. I put it down for like 3 weeks. And then, but when I got back into it, I was moving along. But overall, it was good. Yeah,
she talks about a lot of interesting things. And I think she talked about Amandla in there, and I love that she brought up The Hate U Give, because I remember feeling that same thought, is that we're looking at this cover and we think it's supposed to be a dark complected little girl represented in this book, and then again they cast someone who is much lighter. She talked about Halle Berry in the X-Men, Storm. I think, what was another thing she brought up? The color purple. Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, she was just talking about A-list Black actresses and like Whoopi Goldberg being that in The Color Purple. But again, like when you look at Whoopi Goldberg in that time and Oprah Winfrey, they weren't pretty. They weren't supposed to be pretty in the roles that they played, like Steely and they weren't portrayed as that. So it's also interesting to see, yeah, they were cast, but look at the roles that they were also cast in. So yeah.
I forget her name. Remember, there was a Nina Simone movie made maybe a couple of years ago, last year.
Zoe Saldana.
Zaldana. Yeah, Zaldana.
Yeah. And they darkened her skin. Like there aren't a lot of Black, dark-skinned, capable actresses that could have taken that part.
Yeah, I remember that was kind of a big ordeal when they talked about that too, about like, why did you choose her of all people? Like, there's so many people that could be chosen now. For these roles. Like, again, the list is very small, but they exist. These great, darker complected actresses that are capable of doing these roles. So why do we keep, choosing differently? Yeah. So
shout out to Angela Bassett, who's the highest paid woman on TV.
Yeah. Love me some Angela. Now she's playing everybody's mama and stuff. It's just funny to see the progression of how they like come up, and it's like now these wonderful ladies are playing moms and grandmothers and stuff. It's crazy, which they don't even look old enough to be somebody's mom and grandma still. Like,
yeah.
All right, ladies. Well, I think that's it. If nobody else has any other comments, thank y'all. so much for joining in tonight. And again, we will see you in 1 month, National Poetry Month, and we'll be reading the works of Jill Scott. I'm actually really excited about reading her work.
I'm gonna come and listen. I am so lousy at poetry. I'm that person who does not ever figure out
that's why that's why you don't too much see poetry in, you know, our reading selections, because it's very hard for me, and a lot of times it's so quick, like I forget it. Like once I've read it, it's gone after that, and I can't. And what was the other book?
Black Girl Call Home. I read that in one day.
Thank you. I was just about to say that. So Black Girl Call Home, I had the opportunity to interview her I think it was the beginning of May or the end of April last year. And I wanted that to so badly be our choice, but I was like, been there, done that. Like I've already done an interview with her and stuff, so I didn't want to choose it again. So I was trying to find something that like people just haven't really read. And so I thought Jill Scott would be awesome. And reading some of the poems that I read, I felt like it was relatable to us. And I think there'll be some really good stuff in here.
I think I have that book.
That's what a lot of people said. It came out forever ago. So
yeah, I think I have it in my box somewhere. I'm gonna go look.
That's what a lot of people say. I was like, I have that book. And then a lot of people like Jill Scott retweeted me on Twitter when I announced the thing. And a lot of her fans were like, I didn't even know you had a book. Like they were just their minds were blown. So I'm sure she got a lot of sales that day because of my post.
Speaking of that, Nicole, you taught me that Jada had a book. I didn't know she had no book.
Yeah, me neither. Jada. I did not know.
Y'all go enabling us to buy some more books.
Look, right. I'm like, the last time it was that Color Purple book that we all bought. It's like, I'm gonna wait till the end of the year when we read the Color Purple for me to dive into that one. But I'm like, all these books that I don't need.
Oh no, I'm gonna go to Barnes and Noble. I got a $100 gift card for my birthday, and I'm about to live it up.
All right.
Do it. All right. Well, y'all have a great rest of the evening, and I will see you in a month.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.